So it's Tuesday, no it's not, it's Wednesday morning. I've just got to work in my transit. I've just been to my first job, just delivering some mail. Oh shit, where's my van gone? It's all about postal delivery today. This is coming for a supercharger V8 conversion, express delivery. This is Kev, one of the lads that works for Berkshire Body Shop part-time. It's one of his toys. Postman Pat van. Oh, we've got his sandwich box there. Little first aid kit. This is the coolest thing in the world. Kev, show us your hazard lights. Well, it's Monday morning. I'm supposed to be at Thruxton now, testing the pickup. Not really made it. I've got so much work going on, I don't know what to do. I'm thinking about just going out for the afternoon, but I've only got new tyres on my truck and I don't want to run those around Thruxton, so I've just come to the coach to grab my old slicks. Well, I decided not to go to Thruxton. I've got to put the work before enjoyment, unfortunately. So we're going to get on with a few jobs today. First one is to polish 2 crankshaft journals, build a couple of engines, so yeah, I'll record them. First one, polish the Honda crank. To polish the crankshaft, the first one being this Honda B16. So the bottom end is the one for the rally car, which we've bought it, or I've bought it, honed it to size. I've skimmed the block. So yeah, crankshaft next. These are the pistons. Wiseco. Polishing it is next. Then it'll go in the cleaner, ready so I can assemble the bottom end. That's the first crank done. So I'm going to stick that in the cleaner now, give it a couple of hours to wash through. I'll jet wash it through afterwards as well, just to make sure all of the polishing swarf and debris out the oil has come off it. So yeah, I'll get that one in the cleaner. Right, I'm going to get on with assembling the B16 Honda bottom end. So the first thing to do is to wash my hands, get them nice and clean, so none of the crap from machining and whatnot gets onto the internal of the engine. So yeah, I'll do that first. So I've washed my hands. That's about as clean as they get. The one thing I have just noticed is the pistons are from a different batch by the looks of it, just because the engraving on the piston is at the top on these 3, and then 9421H, and then on the 4th piston at the same box it's got a, you can see that, a 0353H. So I'm going to quickly just check the balance of them to make, well, the weight of them, just to make sure that they're all weighted the same. So if I'm doing that, then I might as well check the conrods as well. The conrods are a Skunk 2 rod with an ARP 2000 rod bolt. So I get them in order before I check the weight. With the conrods I will check them end to end, but initially I just want to check the weight. The engine hasn't come in for any kind of balance, it's just the fact that I've spotted this batch number on the pistons. So the first thing I do is grab one of the pistons, put it onto the scales. I then zero the scales on the first piston. Then grab the second piston. That one's spot on, the same. And the third piston. That one's 1/2 gram heavy. And then this piston here is the one with the different batch number. So if there's going to be a big difference, I would guess it's this one. Hopefully not. Yeah, as you can see, that's 2.5 grams heavy. So it's a really good job that we checked these pistons on a good quality set like this. If you keep the batch numbers together, normally they're all within 1/2 gram. 1/2 gram's fine. That one there, different batch number, 2.6 grams heavy. So that means I just need to take a little bit of weight off this piston. On a piston like this, it's very tricky to take the weight out of it. They're already super light. They're machined to such a high standard that trying to remove the weight is going to be tricky. However, it's a race engine or a rally engine, the weight does need to come out. So that is the next job. I decided to take the weight off the piston by hand. It didn't look really like there was any good way of holding it in a machine to do it. So I've taken the majority of the weight off where I think it's safe. Now I just need to polish it up a little bit. So I use a high-speed die grinder for this. I'm just trying to get off any of the marks that the carbide has left, just to get rid of any stress points on the piston. So that's about as much weight as I really want to try and take off that. There's still some meat there, but we've got to be careful not to get a bit carried away with it, so and make the piston too weak. So I'm hoping this gets to around a gram heavy. I mean, bang on would be perfect, but I don't think I've been able to take enough weight off in total. So I'll just finish the polishing off by hand now. I just don't want any of the polishing or grinding lines in it, so I'll keep doing this and I'll show you the end result. I finished trimming some weight out of the piston and I've polished where I've been in there. I've got it down where it's now 0.7 of a grams heavy. I'm happy with that. I don't want to take no more out of the piston. I haven't gone silly with it. So it's a good job we checked. The one thing I do want to say is I doubt very much Wiseco supplied the pistons to the reseller with a different batch number. These are high quality and a very good make. I really like Wiseco pistons, so I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, by the way, but so I pronounce it anyway. I think what's probably happened is it was a box of pistons that the supplier had in stock. He might have sold a piston out of it, reordered a piston, and put it back into the box. I would almost put money on it that's what's happened. Like I say, this manufacturer would not normally send out a different batch number. But anyway, we're sorted. It won't affect it. It won't lose no strength where I've taken it from. Everything's nice and round edged. There's nothing sharp in there. So yeah, that will be fine. The next thing that I just want to check are the conrods. So I'll start with the lowest one, which is 006. So that's going to be my number one in the engine. So once again, I'll place it, on the scales, set the 0. I mean, these do come with a chart to say that they are all done end to end balanced, so this is just for my own peace of mind really, just so I know that they're all within half a gram. See, that one's half a gram heavy, 0.7 that was in fact. Number 2. That one's half a gram heavy as well. And the last one. And that one's bang on. So I'm not gonna check them end for end. Like I say, this isn't a job that's come in for a balance. It was just curiosity when I spotted the batch number wrong on the pistons. So while I've got the scales switched on, I might as well check the rods, but they seem fine, and there is a end-to-end sheet in there. But yeah, now I'll wash my hands again because I got dirty cleaning the piston, and I'll assemble the bottom end. So in vlog 2, the first video where I was showing machining, I showed piston ring gapping. So that is the first job that I'm going to do on the Honda engine. It's all come out the cleaner, so is the crankshaft. That looks lovely now. So before I build anything, I jet wash them with just water, and then use compressed air to clean everything through, make sure every thread is clean. Then this little geyser tank there, I change the fluid in that every few weeks to keep it as clean as I possibly can. So at the moment I'm just washing off the packaging swarf from the conrods and the pistons, and any other little bits and bobs. So basically before that gets assembled, I'll blow all that off with compressed air so we know everything is completely clean. These are the piston rings that I'm going to keep these in cylinder order, so 1, 2, 3 and 4. As I showed you last time, when you buy pistons it comes with a little formula there. So I've calculated that the ring gaps that we need for the top ring is 17 thou and the second ring is 19 thou. If I'm building a full engine, I have built engine build sheets, but because this is just, we're putting the pistons and rods in for the customer, on the jobs in sheet I just write on the back of it. So this shows, this is the piston size because I measured all the pistons. That's the clearance that the piston manufacturer recommends, so that's the finish size. And then as I'm honing them, I just keep an eye on the top, middle and bottom of the bore, and then just make sure I know that I've got the bore absolutely parallel and round. The other thing I do is I wipe the bores with alcohol before I clean them, and then I use a total seal assembly lube for the rings. You don't need to smother the bore in oil. Light coating of that just helps it all go together. So yeah, next thing is to gap the rings, so I'll do that now. I thought I'd quickly show the way I fit piston rings. I've gapped them all now. On the oil expansion ring there, obviously it's split, some have a spring in between, this one's a split one. I always have the two little bends on the end pointing upwards, and then I just curl it around the piston like that, and then I just move it so the gap's about there. Then the next thing is the oil ring control rails. If you just put these in your fingers like that and give them a squeeze, they will bend one way. So what you want to do is starting with the bottom ring, that would then put the tension on the control ring there. So that would be the bottom. So I then carefully just put that so it's in line with the thrust of the piston. So one that way, and that bends down. So 180 degrees from that gap, just spin that round. I always just grab it there, because if not you can put a scratch down the piston, which is not what you want. So that's that. The next piston ring to be installed is the second ring. The second ring is always ductile material, well, not always, but most of the time. I'll take this off here, and then if you can see here, it's got a marking on it. The marking on the piston rings always goes to the top. However, if the rings aren't marked, I'm not sure if this will pick that up. On this second ring, there is a step here, which is the scraper for the oil. So the idea of that is that scrapes down and then scrapes the oil off the bore into the oil control ring. So the scrape would always scrape down. That's one way of knowing if you've got that in the right position or not. So if I just put this, click this onto here, I put the top and the second ring, I put level with the gudgeon pin. Once again, I carefully just roll the ring around the piston and then hold that away from the piston till it clicks in like that. And then the same with the top ring. There's a marking on it just there, but if there wasn't, there is a chamfer on this top edge. You can just about see it. That will always point up on the top ring. So once again, 180 degrees from the second ring, we just curl that in. That's the chrome ring is always a lot stronger than the ductile ring. The next thing is the circlip that holds the gudgeon pin in. It stops the gudgeon pin sliding out and having an engine failure. I always, once I've fitted that, just fit one in. So I always get it in the bottom, just there like that, and then I'll just use my fingers to flick it in and make sure that it's locked all the way in. So the next thing to do is to oil the pin boss up on the conrod and the piston, slide it in and click the other circlip in. What I will do is I'll just show, you've seen me fit them rings by hand, that's just experience, to be honest. If you're not comfortable trying to fit them by hand, because they can break relatively easy, there's all different styles of tools for fitting rings. On the Honda engine, I've gapped all the rings, washed them, installed them onto the pistons, ready to go. I've cleaned the bearings, all the grease that they put on from manufacturing for storage, so they just need a little wipe over. These are ACL race bearings. I've checked them for size as well. I've cleaned the main caps, I've cleaned the main housing. I've just got to bolt in the bore squirters. So that's my first job. I was showing you different ways of installing piston rings, and then the GoPro went flat. So I'll show you a tool that Snap-on tools sell. This is a ring expander. You can get different ones. This is the one that I'll use if I don't want to do it by hand, but you'll probably find a lot of engine builders can just do it by hand. If you're an amateur having a go, I do recommend buying one of these. They're relatively cheap from Snap-on Tools. I can leave the part number for it in the comments below. If anybody needs it, just ask. I can also supply these from direct from the shop here as well. So if you need one, let me know. But that simply works by placing the ring in here with the gap there, and then what happens is when the ring, when the tool goes around the ring, it then locks it and then just pulls it apart like that. So it keeps it really nice and square, and you get a good feel with it. Once again, Snap-on making all the best tools for the automotive market. So I've got 4 of the 5 ACL race bearings in. I've just left the last one out to show you. These are called tangs. They locate the bearing. So what I do is place the bearing into the tang first, and then just push the back of it in so I know that it's level, like that. Then I use a few different oils when building an engine. This is what I use on the bearings, Cleveite bearing guard. Once again, we can supply this from stock, so if you need it, once again, leave a comment below and we can get some sent straight out, or you're welcome to pop in and grab some. So I make sure that I cover all the bearing. On this or any thrust face, I do not get it on the side of the engine because the thrust washer goes in there. So you don't want no oil behind the thrust washer. And then before I place the crank into the block, I just double check that the crank has got no debris or dirt on it at all. So a final inspection. I try and look down all the oil holes, all the feeds for it. So just hold the crank on both ends and then very, very carefully drop it into the engine. I've already bolted the main caps on, checked the main housings and also checked the bearings. The next job is to fit the thrust washers. So on the thrusts there is a right and a wrong way. This side here with the oil holes, they run against the crank, so when you press the clutch they take the side movement out. The steel side with the part number on always sits against the block, so it's important just to give them a wipe before they get installed. And it's also important to put some of the Cleveite bearing guard on it. You can use the lubricate grease as well, but on this I'm just going to use this. So just put a bit on like that. There's 2 of these. So put the first one in, spin it round, pull the crank back, and then the second one. So once again, just wiping all the dirt off it, well, not dirt, the packaging grease. And then this one here, I'll show this one going in. So the first one installed just down there, you can just see part of it there. So the second one, as I said, the side with the grooves in goes against the crank, and then it's really easy to put in. You just roll it in with your fingers like that. You don't turn the crank like that because you can roll the bearings out, or the thrusts can roll out, so it's important now that we put the main caps on before we do anything else. So on the main caps, it's also important to make sure there's no dirt in there, no dust or anything. Same with the bearing. Make sure there's nothing on the back of the bearing. That is a dry fit into the cap. On this there's a grooved bearing with an oil feed in it, and then this is a solid bearing. The groove and the oil hole sits in the block, and the solid one then sits in the cap. Once again, a nice little bit of Cleveite bearing guard. Just use a really clean finger just to make sure it goes all over the bearing like that. And then we can drop this one in position. On here, I don't know if you can see, that one has got number 2, and actually cast onto that is an arrow. So the arrow points to the front, but normally the tangs also sit on the same side. So the middle tang there and the offset tang there sit together. It's on dowel, so they locate in. So just a nice little gentle push with your fingers. And then I'll quickly run through the other 4. Same process through all of them. Sometimes on the thrust washer main cap, you can also have a pair of thrust washers. On this engine, it doesn't run them. It just runs the thrust washer in the block side. So the caps are all on and oiled. The next thing to do is to torque the main caps down. So I use ARP grease on the threads. So every time we fit ARPs, or any bolts really, but the ARPs come with like a little pack, and I just tip it into a lid, and it just helps the threads pull down properly. So I put a bit on the cap so the washer can spin freely and not bite and pull the 2 metals together. I'll put this back up here. And then the next thing is to put some around the thread of the bolt and underneath the head of the bolt. So the Honda B16 engine is ready for the customer now. It's all bagged up and finished. I just want to shout out a good friend of mine, Simon, who supplies all my quality parts. Top bloke, always does a good deal. So thanks, Simon, very much. You are the man. So yeah, now I'm just finishing the crossflow engine, ready for the weekend. So that's that there. Just going to get that done. Awesome. See you in the next vlog. Well, I'm just at work. My wife's just editing, ready for the next vlog, and I just wanted to say a massive thanks to my friend Rick Troutman in Texas, America, who has written me my own theme tune. So Tracy's gonna add that to some engine work, and it'll be featured on all the vlogs now with engine work in. So I just wanted to have a big shout out to Rick. Everybody should look him up on Facebook, download his music. How he's got the words Grace Engine Developments into the song, I'll never know. If you've made it to the end of the vlog, could you please put the word power into the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.